Okay, guys, as we're coming near the end of the school year, only about 30 school days left, but who's counting, right? It's important that we definitely now think about the future. Are you going to be in IM3 next year? Are you going to do IM3 for summer school? Are you thinking about taking the IM3 challenge exam? If that's the case, you better hustle on the challenge exam because it's next week. But anyways, here's definitely some things you better know that's in IM3. One thing is you're going to do different functions and different graphs all day long. Now, let's start with the square root function. H of x right here, notice, is a square root function. And they already have the table set up for us, as you can see. So I'm just going to plug those numbers in. And then after we complete the table, we're going to graph it, right? And let's see how it goes. So I'm going to start with -2. So I have the square root. -2 plus 2 minus 3. Now that, of course, is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is -3. Let's go ahead and do -1 next. Just plugging in my -1 there, right? So -1 plus 2 is 1. The square root of 1 minus 3 is -2. Let me put that in black in case it's not dark enough there. Okay, let's go ahead and obviously try 0. I'm going to plug in that 0 there. Now this 0 plus 2 is 2. So we have the square root of 2 minus 3. Now I'm just going to round off and approximate here, guys. Square root of 2 is 1.4. So when we minus 3 from that, we're going to get -1.6, roughly. Okay? Again, we're rounding off here, guys. The important thing is we're hopefully understand we can plug in number. And by the way, everything I'm writing here, you ought to actually just type in your calculator and get a more accurate answer. But it's around -1.6. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and go to, obviously, 2. We have the square root of 2 plus 2 minus 3. Now, 2 plus 2, of course, is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Minus 3 is -1. Finally, let's go ahead and plug in the 7. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay? Now, guys, pause the video because I'm going to erase all my work in order to do the linear equation k of x. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video, took any notes you needed to take. But anyways, here we go. Let's do k of x here. And here's k of x, of course, and we're just going to plug in the same x values. So we have 1/3 of 2 minus 5/3. And that's 2/3 minus 5/3. -3/3 is, of course, -1. Okay. Oh, I made a mistake there. Guys, did you notice I forgot the negative sign? So I already did 2. So 2 we know is -1. Sorry about that. Notice I did the 2. Now, let's say we make it -2. That means -2/3 minus 5/3 is -7/3. -7/3. Now, I want to take a moment, guys, to remind you, all this work that we're doing, you can use on the calculator. I didn't do it with a square root, but check this out. I wanted to make sure I did example on a typical scientific calculator. You guys should recognize this is my class set. But can you type in fractions in your calculator? I use the times, even though you could have used a parentheses instead. So here's my 1/3 times -2 minus 5/3. And notice I get -2 and 1/3. On my calculator, you have to press Shift and then the fraction button. Okay? And that will give you your -7/3. And again, guys, ask yourself, does that make sense? Can you do that yourself on the calculator? But as you can see, that's what I got right there, -7/3. Now, completing the problem here, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the -1. And hopefully I won't make the same silly mistake I made earlier. But I'm going to have -1/3 right here, -5/3, -6/3. Again, all this you can do on your calculator, right? Which simplifies to -2. Let's plug in the 0. 1/3 of 0 minus 5/3. Of course, that's just 0. So we'll have -5/3. Finally, we'll plug in the 7. 1/3 of +7, right? 7/3 minus 5/3 is 2/3. So guys, now we're just going to graph it, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with h of x. So we're going to graph these values right here. So -2 is -3, right there. -1 is -2, right there. 0 is -1.6 approximately. Remember, we did round off, so it's going to be about right there somewhere, right? 2, of course, is -1. So 2 is -1. And finally, 7 is 0. Now, 7 doesn't fit, so 7's going to be, see, 5, 6, 7, way over here. But guys, this is what a typical square root looks like, by the way. It makes an arc like this. That's what a square root looks like. You ought to basically memorize and recognize what a square root will look like. Okay? I think I have that covered in previous videos as well. But anyways, so there is my square root function graphed. Now, I'll go ahead and go to red here, and I'm going to graph k of x. Let's see here. -2 is -7/3. So -2 is now -7/3 is about -2 1/3. So it's about right there. Okay. -1 is -2. -1 is -2 right there. Oh, interesting. That's where they cross each other, isn't it? Do you agree? That's the same value. See how they have the same value in our table? Okay, 0 was -5/3. So 0, now -5/3. Wait a minute, did I mess up on -7/3? No, -5/3 would be about 2 1/3. -7/3. Sorry for the little mistakes here, guys. So let me fix that right there. So -7/3 would be, no, that's -2 1/3. I was right on that, right? -5/3 would be -1 2/3, which would have been about right there. A little bit higher than that. Okay, so I didn't mess up, thank God. Okay, 2 is -1. Well, what do you know? That's where they cross each other again. And then finally, 7 is 2/3. So 7 again would be way over here and up there somewhere. But the idea, guys, a straight line, of course, will be a straight line like this. And I hope you understand the solution for any system, because what we have here, guys, is a system. All right, let me use black here. But we have a system here. We have a square root linear system, to be more exact, because we have a square root and a linear function. But the solution is where they cross each other. They crossed each other at, sorry, they did not cross there. They crossed each other at -1, -2, right? And they crossed at 2, -1. Now we can verify that in the table. Follow the purple here. Do you agree at -1, they both were -2? And at 2, they both were -1. So you can actually know what the solution is if you have the table side by side like that as well. But anyways, long story short, guys, that is a little bit of how you graph completing the table. Remember that you're going to want to, sorry about that, you're going to want to make sure you can do negatives on your calculator, fractions on your calculator, know how to convert, as I showed you here, from a mixed number to an improper fraction, because we love improper fractions. We really don't like mixed numbers, okay? So that's something you'll get used to as you take upper level mathematics. But I'm going to cut the video short here. I'm going to have to do the graphing 5 and 6 on another video, guys. So hopefully you got something out of this. I'll see you in class.